Welcome to the More Than English podcast, where we discuss fascinating and influential ideas, learning English along the way. Here we learn more than English.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today is just a short episode, actually an introduction to the new series. And today I'm joining you from a beautiful Spanish beach. To tell you the truth, I would love to do the episodes here all the time, but it can be a little bit unpredictable with the noise of the wind, the waves, the sun. And personally, I like to avoid uncertainty where possible. You could say that I rank highly in uncertainty avoidance. But what does this mean? Well, we'll come back to that very soon. I would also love to be able to do the podcast on my balcony. It's just maybe 300 meters away. And you can see the beach and the sea. It's a great view. The wind is not as strong and you cannot hear the waves. But still, it's quite difficult. That's because if you've been to Spain for much time, or maybe another Hispanic country, you might know that the neighborhoods are often quite noisy. A quick note for my Spanish-speaking listeners. Queridos oyentes hispanohablantes, no me malinterpreten. Amo la cultura hispánica. De verdad, he pasado mucho de mi vida en países hispanohablantes, por ejemplo, 18 meses en España, 4 meses en México, 3 meses en Perú, 2 meses en Chile. Me encanta la energía de la gente. Me encanta ver espectáculos flamencos aquí en Andalucía, gritar pasa que artista. Me encanta intentar bailar salsa, pues no bailo bien, pero no está mal para un británico. Obviamente, no todos o cada lugar en España, México o Sudamérica es muy ruidoso, pero por lo general es innegable que la cultura hispánica es más ruidosa por lo general que la cultura anglofónica. ¿No lo creen? So why are Spanish-speaking countries usually more noisy than English-speaking countries? Well, let's take Spain, for example, since I'm here. Spain ranks high in uncertainty avoidance, this word again. So what does that mean? Uncertainty avoidance is the extent to which a society feels threatened by the future, which can never be known, and what they do in order to limit or prevent uncertain or bad situations. So if there's a problem for a country or a person with high uncertainty avoidance, sometimes they would rather just ignore it than to intervene and maybe make more problems. For example, Spain has a score of 86 in uncertainty avoidance. In fact, almost all of the Latin American countries as well have a score of over 70. So we can say that Hispanic countries in general are high in uncertainty avoidance. As written in Hofstede's Insights, Spanish people have rules for everything, and changes are often unwanted. As well, confrontation is often avoided because Spanish people think that if you confront a problem, this can often lead to more problems. So when we're talking about people being noisy in terms of uncertainty avoidance, maybe one reason why Spanish people on average are more noisy than, let's say, English people is because they're less willing to tell their neighbors or tell the person who is being noisy to stop being noisy. Whereas in the UK, I can tell you from experience, or Germany, for example, if somebody's being noisy on the train, say if they're playing music on their phone loud on the train, it's quite certain that in the UK and Germany, somebody will tell them, please, can you turn your music down? Please, can you wear headphones? But in Spain or Mexico and so on, it's quite common that people play music loud on the bus or just shout in the street, and nobody will tell them not to because they want to avoid confrontation. So Spanish speakers around the world, what do you think? Would you say this is true about your culture? Please let me know. And it's not just to pick on Spain, because like I said, many other Latin countries have high scores in the 70s, 80s, and so on. And not just Spanish-speaking countries. In fact, the most uncertainty avoidant country in the world is Greece, and the second is Portugal. For comparison, the UK and the US score 36 and 45 respectively on uncertainty avoidance, which is basically half of Spain. Maybe you've seen Hofstede's Cultural Insights and you're thinking, but Japan has a score of 92 on uncertainty avoidance, and I've been to Japan and it's definitely not so noisy. Well, that's a tough question, and in order to answer why Japan is not noisy but Spain is, even though they both have this high score on uncertainty avoidance, we have to study more of these dimensions. Personally, I learned about these cultural dimensions when I was 18 doing my bachelor degree in international business. And now, more than 10 years on, I'm still fascinated by them. I've never stopped to be fascinated by them. But back then, I was still quite a young boy. I had only ever traveled abroad once. But now, after 10 years, I can say that I've traveled to many countries, more than 30 in fact, and as well as living in Spain for 18 months, in Mexico for 4 months, Peru 3 months, Chile 2 months, like I mentioned in Spanish. I've also lived in Germany for 4 years, in Japan for a year, a couple of months in Thailand, Indonesia, and as well as actually traveling, I've been teaching English online for 7 years. And over those 7 years, I've literally had about 1,000 hours of talking with Chinese people and Russians, individually, just Chinese, 1,000 hours, Russians, 1,000 hours. And although I've never been to Russia or China or the US, I can say that I know quite well these cultures in addition to the ones I've spent a lot of time in. So please join me on this journey, and we're going to start from power distance all the way till indulgence. There will be 6 episodes, and after these 6 episodes, hopefully we can answer some of these more challenging questions, such as, why is Japan high in uncertainty avoidance but not noisy like other countries high in uncertainty avoidance? Or, for example, maybe you're a Spanish person living in Ibiza and you're thinking, well, when I've seen English people in Ibiza, they're definitely not quiet and most of them are drunk. Well, maybe in the end we can also talk about why, for example, although British people are generally quiet, they love to get drunk and make noise. So yeah, that will come in the future. But for now, this next 6 episodes about the 6 cultural dimensions of Hofstede. I look forward to it.